and welcome to this special panel on the legal aid, which will discuss very important issues concerning this agency, that is the Alternative Dispute Resolution and other legal matters here. And tonight with me in the studio to talk about this important issue, I have Mr. on my right, far right, Mr. Charles Thomas, who is the Administrator, National Agency for Legal Aid here in the Gambia. And next to Mr. Thomas is Judith Ngosi, the Legal Officer at the National Agency for Legal Aid, Gambia. And on my left hand, immediate left hand is Mr. Madam. Oh, Miss, I'm giving. Okay, Miss Penda Jibril, the Executive Secretary, Alternative Dispute Resolution, the ADR, and the last but not the least is Mr. Gay So, Senior Legal Officer, Institute for Human Rights Development in Africa. And I am Mama J. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this program. And to open this forum, we're going to start with Mr. Thomas, who is going to give us an insight into this program. Mr. Thomas, the floor is yours.
Very well, Mama. Thank you very much, and we are very honored to be here. And the idea is to come to have an exchange with the public, let everybody know what legal aid agency is all about, and also the alternative dispute resolution secretariat. And the legal aid agency, of course, is a creation of government, and the objective of the legal aid agency is assisting people who cannot afford the services of a lawyer, that's to say the indigent and vulnerable sectors of our society. And therefore, I think it behoves us to explain to people what we are about and the services we offer and how they can access those services. I believe, Mama, this is what the program is all about today, and you'll be able to hear from different people.
Okay,
yes,
we'll now turn to Mr. Gayso, who is also going to give us a background of this legal aid here in Gambia.
Thank you very much. I must say I look like I'm going to the gym at least. I was expecting maybe Nala to make the shirts a bit more sizable, but no complaints. We're here for a good cause. Just wanted to give background information on legal aid as far as the Gambia is concerned. Maybe after the background, at least I would take time to talk about the scope, and I think after that the agency itself would talk about its challenges. At independence, or even before then, we had what we call the Poor Persons Defense Act that restricted legal aid to persons charged with capital offenses. By that I mean persons charged with offenses punishable with death. I should have said from the beginning, this is really just a follow-up discussion. We've had two similar panel discussions in the past, so this is just meant to be a follow-up.
It's a follow-up to that.
Exactly, yes. So the law was really very short, as in it had, I think, just a few sections, I think less than 5. And it's clear, I mean, the way it is called, or the way it was called, I mean, that it restricted legal aid to persons charged with offenses punishable with death. So with the coming into force of the 1997 Constitution, we saw a change. A change in the sense we saw the scope widen to include not just persons charged with offenses punishable with death, but also persons charged with offenses punishable with life imprisonment. So which means, I mean, for now we're talking about murder, treason, rape, because we know under Gambian law, rape is punishable with life imprisonment. Eventually, we also saw a change in the sense, after the Children's Act was passed in 2005, we saw the scope widen to include children. So which means any child in conflict with the law, as far as the Gambia is concerned, is entitled to legal aid and legal representation at the expense of the state. So that was up to 2005. Eventually, in 2000, I should have said again too, my office started discussions on, as in engaging people on the right to fair trial, and it became obvious that you really cannot have a fair trial anywhere in this world, especially if you're really an indigent person, if in most cases you don't have a lawyer to fight your cause for you. So discussion started, and of course I'm proud to say our contributions led to the enactment of the Legal Aid Act of 2008. So for now, legal aid in the Gambia is actually based on provisions of the Constitution, exactly Section 24.3, Section 72.1, which extends it to include children, and finally, I mean, if you look at Section 30 of the Legal Aid Act, it also gives you the exact scope. I should add that even though we saw a change, the change is, in a sense, it has not yet kicked in the sense, if you look at Section 30, the Attorney General is supposed to come up with a date, as in he's supposed to indicate, for example, maybe it could be done through a direction or maybe through a notice that from this day on, any Gambian who earns, for example, below $1,000 should be provided with legal aid at the expense of the state, irrespective of whether that person is involved in civil or criminal cases. For now, like I said, that is not yet done. But I'm told, of course, that the agency has, of course, started putting those things, but then that wouldn't be a legal obligation on the part of the state. So before I just wanted to say legal aid for capital offenses punishable with life imprisonment, legal aid for children, and of course for civil cases, we're waiting for the Attorney General to at least come up with a date when that kind of law would be effective. Who provides legal aid in this country? It is clear from what I have said that an obligation is imposed on the Gambia government to provide legal aid for the category of persons I have mentioned. By that I mean children, those charged with offenses called punishable with death or life imprisonment. That is not just a legal obligation, it is a constitutional obligation. And we know that part of the Constitution that provides for legal aid is entrenched, that is Section 34, subsection 3. So it's not a moral but a legal obligation on government to provide to provide legal aid for this category of persons. But then we also have other bodies that provide legal aid. These bodies are not under the legal obligation to do so, but they've been doing so, and I should say for a long time. We know the Gambia Bar Association gives legal aid, individual lawyers give legal aid, and we know FLAG has really been very active in giving legal aid. The university too has a law clinic that gives legal aid. FLAG started giving legal aid a couple of years ago. I'm not sure really. I was part of FLAG when it started, not really very active. So in a sense, we have the obligation put on government, but at the same time, we also have organizations that have come in once in a while to support government in its quest to provide legal aid for deserving persons.
Okay, Mrs. Saul, we'll come back to you so that you talk more on the statutory provisions of these legal practitioners. But for now, we'll now turn to Ms. Penda Jibril, who is the executive secretary of the ADR, and she's going to tell us about the importance of ADR in the country.
Yes. Thank you for having us. Firstly, I would like to give some insight. The ADR Secretariat was set up by the Alternative Dispute Resolution Act of 2005, and the Secretariat was set up in 2008, and since then we've opened 2 regional offices in Bassa and Farafenni. And in brief, what we do is we act as an alternative medium for people who have civil cases, not criminal. We don't deal with criminal. People who have civil matters, for example, commercial contract, land, employment issues, etc. It's not exhaustive. To come to us and mediate their cases, or to come and arbitrate their cases. There are different methodologies